Flash versus Grodd. It's time to continue the storyline leading up to Flash War right here in DC Rebirth. Last time on The Flash, he was in Iron Heights fighting against the Rogues as they had a new plan in place. But this time, it's time to discover, what do we do about Grodd? A super intelligent gorilla that believes that he deserves the Speed Force. And can Barry Allen stop him alone, or will he need many, many Flash family members? Enjoy part 1 of Grodd War. Since man's earliest days, they've always been fascinated with power. It gives control over life and death, and it would make sense that man would steal it repeatedly because it's what defines you. It's power that rules the world, and without it, man would be nothing. And now, its rightful owner wants that power back. In the current time, Barry Allen stands in the graveyard of his deceased mother, asking Iris the one thing that he's always wanted: forgiveness. When Red Death attacked Central City, they saw each other, and she said, Iris tells Barry that she knows what she said. She said that she missed him, and she meant it. Ever since he started working with Wally again, he's been happier. It meant a lot that even though they weren't talking, Barry's always been there for Wally. But with everything that's happened, Barry says that he knows and he would never want to rush her. He's sorry for how he acted after Thawne and all of the lies that he told. He just really misses his friends. After a few moments of silence, Iris tells him it's okay. But there's something that she's going to need before anything. She needs to talk to him, to see his life and how he lives. Barry sighs and says, right. Anything you need. In a blink of an eye, Iris is swept off her feet by Barry in his Flash costume, and he says, I'm sure you have a lot of questions. Iris tells him, please. I had it figured out the moment Thawne ripped the mask off. The night the lightning hit the crime lab is when you got the Speed Force. You used it and your knowledge of science to make a bright red suit so that you could be a hero in Central City. The real reason you've always been late is because you were out saving the world. Now, show me the chapter of Flash that I haven't read before. Meanwhile, in another part of town, a police escort hits the road transporting Dr. Carver, and Kid Flash is keeping a close eye on it. Carver should be on Kid Flash's hate list, but he was with Black Hole when they unleashed the Speed Force storm that helped turn him into who he is now. Right now, Carver is on his way to stand trial for his crimes, but one would think that Black Hole would try and free him during his transfer to Iron Heights. Just as Kid Flash gets close, there's a purple blur and a female voice asking if he wants to race. As Avery jumps onto Kid Flash trying to hug him, he asks, I thought you were busy with the Justice League of China. Avery tells him that there's no way that she was going to miss Carver's trial. As the two continue to talk, there's a loud screeching coming out of the police escort and a sudden explosion. Kid Flash and Avery work together to try and pull people out of the fire, but then they see Carver, and it's too late for him. As Kid Flash looks at Carver's burning body, he says that this is a crime scene now, but why would Black Hole want to kill Carver? Just then, lightning begins to strike, and Avery looks up, stating, Kid Flash? Back with Barry, he returns to Central City carrying Iris after a visit to the Watchtower. Iris tells him that she needs to know everything before they can continue with this. In the back of Barry's mind, he thinks everything would be telling her about the Flashpoint event and explaining to her that she really has two nephews named Wally. Wally himself said that he wasn't ready to tell her, and if he was to tell Iris everything about being Flash, he would have to reveal that. If you're confused, there are actually two Wally Wests. When the New 52 started after Flashpoint, we got a new Kid Flash. Once we got to DC Rebirth, the original red-headed Wally came back. To keep things less confusing going forward, we will be referring to the New 52 Wally West as Kid Flash in this story, and we will be referring to DC Rebirth Wally West as Wally. That's when a voice rings out in Barry's head, stating that if he does, then she won't want Barry Allen. Barry suddenly stops putting Iris down, and she asks what's wrong, and Barry says, did you hear that? The voice tells him that being Flash is the only thing that makes him special. Why would a woman like Iris want to know the real Barry Allen if she can have the Flash? Iris begins to say that she doesn't hear anything, but as she says it, her speech begins to slow down until she stops moving. Barry looks around and now can see that not only Iris, but all of Central City is stopping, except for him. The voice then tells Barry, come. And Barry sees the lightning strike across the city. He rushes over to where it hit, and then he sees that it struck the Central City Police Department, and that somebody put a giant lightning rod on top of it. Lightning begins to strike it several more times. Crack-a-ga-crack-a-ga-crack-a-ga-coom! And soon, Barry begins to see something coming out of that light. Something human-shaped. The voice tells Barry that he defeated them once before, but this time, they have speed. Multiplex begins to reach out, grabbing Barry, and another voice asks, didn't your mother ever teach you sharing is caring? Or did she die before that? Barry looks back, asking, Mina? This is who you're working for? This is the leader of Black Hole? The man beside Mina tells him, "My name is Rajin, Master of Lightning, and I am merely a soldier in this conflict. My lord and master is the true god of the Speed Force. Now bow to him." The voice from before returns and it tells Barry, "We haven't seen each other in a long time, but I've always been with you. Every time that you would prattle on about your mother, loves, friends, you were confessing. I know all of Barry Allen's secrets, your inner worries, even your fears, and now it's time." A giant arm reaches through the darkness, grabbing Barry, pinning him down, and Barry looks up to see Gorilla Grodd. Grodd shouts, "The Speed Force will finally belong to me, because my life depends on it." Barry manages to free himself, yelling, "You can't control me! So why don't you just tell me why you're dying instead?" Grodd tells him, "Death stalks me due to a rare degenerative disease that most of my fellow apes avoided. But slowly I am losing my mind to this infection." He begins to cough, telling him, "As much as I hate it, sharing Gorilla City technology with Black Hole was necessary. A lightning rod was constructed that will draw forth the Speed Force and save my life. Central City has been drained of all of its speed, and everyone inside is trapped in the moment. If anyone is to enter this field, they too will meet the same fate." Barry begins to fight back against Multiplex, yelling, "I can help! This is not the answer! We can work together to find a cure, Grodd." And Grodd shouts, "The Speed Force is the only way, and I will tear away what belongs to you. Now, Rajin!" Rajin pulls out a wand and he says, "I was just a lowly Star Lab scientist, obsessed with the Speed Force. That was until I heard Lord Grodd's voice. It freed me! And with this lightning wand, I'll be able to control the Speed Force storm and study it." Barry punches into Rajin, asking him, "At what cost?" And Rajin grabs him by the neck, pinning him to the ground, telling him, "Lord Grodd promised me the secrets of the Speed Force. I would die for him." Just then, Kid Flash punches Rajin, telling him, "Luckily, flashes don't kill." As Rajin falls to the ground, he lets go of the wand, and Avery jumps in, grabbing it, asking, "Did anyone catch that awesome flip?" Barry then asks, "What are you doing here? You need to run. Take the lightning wand and get as far away from here as you can." Kid Flash tells him, "No way! We can!" But Barry yells over him, telling him, "Grodd is more dangerous than anything you've encountered. Please, go." Avery grabs Kid Flash by the arms, telling him, "You heard the man. It's time for us to go." Grodd then tells Barry, "Don't pretend you're sending the children away to save them. You just wish to keep them ignorant of what I know about you. The truth about Barry Allen, who you really are. You're a child who couldn't save his mother, a boy unable to prove his father's innocence, a man unloved. But that all changed when you became the Flash. Soon you would have friends, you would catch your mother's killer, and you would prove your father's innocence. You had it all. The Speed Force made you special. But deep down you knew in your heart, without those powers, you would be nothing." Barry finally collapses from Grodd's mental attacks, and Grodd tells Multiplex to prepare him. Mina begins to hook Barry up to a device and tells him, "If you want to survive this, don't fight it." Once Barry is in place, Grodd tells Mina to begin, and she connects the generators together. And as the lightning starts to course through Barry and the surrounding area, Mina yells, "It's too powerful!" Barry tells them to stop. Stop right now, and as the power begins to fade, Grodd tells him, "Now the world will know who the real hero is, without powers." And just like that, Barry Allen is no longer the Flash. Grodd calls out that the Speed Force burns in his veins. "But it is not enough, I need more." He reaches down, grabbing Barry by the head, and he tells Rajin to go ahead and retrieve the wand. "Bring me the other speedsters. But first, there is something I must show our fallen hero." He steps up to his throne and it shoots into the air. Grodd holds out Barry's body, telling him, "I was wrong about you. You aren't nothing." Grodd spits in his face, telling him, "You're less than nothing. You're just human." He lets go of Barry's wrist and Barry begins to feel himself falling back to the ground. He starts to accept his fate as he hears someone telling him, "Not so fast," and Wally catches him before he hits the ground. Barry asks him how, and Wally says, "I saw the lightning from over at Keystone and raced over. But never mind that, why are you falling?" Barry doesn't answer him right away, but that's when another voice calls out to Wally. He looks over and Wally asks, "Is that Kid Flash?" And Kid Flash asks, "What are you doing here?" And Avery asks, "What happened to Grodd?" Wally then turns back to Barry asking, "Grodd? He's as scary as they come. If that ape is here, we're gonna need to come up with a plan and take him down together. Right, Barry?" But after a few moments of not responding, Barry finally falls, stating, "Grodd may have beat me, but he didn't beat the Flash." And Wally then says, "I know, just tell me how to." But Barry stops him, telling him, "No, you don't understand. Barry Allen is no longer the Flash of Central City. You are." A short while later, at the Speed Force Training Center, Barry begins running and shouts, "Come on, come on!" And then he trips over his own leg. Avery tells him that he's right. His connection to the Speed Force is gone. Whatever Grodd did, he's once again a powerless member of the human race. The only thing that is not keeping him frozen in place like everyone else is the super small traces of Speed Force that are still in his system. And even that's about to wear off. Avery begins running around the lab, gathering up more tools to test with, but Barry calmly tells her to just relax. Kid Flash asks, "How can you be so chill about this?" Then Barry says it's because Grodd said that he was dying. And I believe him. Even before this, he always felt the Speed Force belonged to him. He'd even kill for it. We can't let that scare us. Kid Flash then asks, "How are we supposed to stop Grodd without you?" And Wally's voice says, "Grodd is gonna have to go through me first." Wally slides in stating that he just did a bit of recon around the whole city, and it turns out that everyone is occupied with the lightning rod and not looking for them. If he had to guess, then they're waiting to make a move. Avery says that Black Hole's lightning rod is draining speed from everything in Central City. If it gets to full power and is triggered by Rajan's wand, it would engulf the entire world and steal all of the Speed Force, including their own. Kid Flash says that he loves these powers. He doesn't want to lose them just when he's getting used to them. And Avery sighs, telling him she doesn't want to lose them either. When Godspeed was killing speedsters, she was willing to sacrifice the Speed Force, but now it's a part of who she is. Barry places his hand on her shoulder, telling her not to worry. We're gonna stop Grodd long before he takes your powers. Barry then says after looking over Mina's computers, the lightning rod isn't just stealing speed, it's slowing everything to a crawl. And if it hits absolute zero, everything dies. Wally says that they're gonna have to evacuate the city, like now! And Barry tells everyone, Wally's right, but we're gonna need Kid Flash and Avery to leave the city. They need to stay on the run, not in Central City. Kid Flash yells, "No way! Not this time! I'm not letting you!" But Barry talks over him, telling him, "Now!" Kid Flash scoffs. "So it's gonna be like that, huh? All the times you told me to run, it's never been to run away from a fight." A second later, both Kid Flash and Avery leave, and Wally says, "You know, you could have been a little nicer about it, Barry." Barry walks over to the table, telling him, "You don't need me to be nice. What you need from me is to become the Flash again. And with this wand, I'm gonna get my powers back." Wally says that he is the Flash. "It's starting to sound like you don't trust me very much." Without even responding to the comment, Barry looks over at the wand, telling him, "This is the key. If I can adjust it and plug it into the lightning rod, I could get a jump start." Wally tells him that if it backfires, then you've just given Grodd what he wants. We gotta destroy the wand. Barry says, "All I need is time. Evacuate the city and find Iris while Wally reaches out, telling him, "It's time you took a step back, Barry." But Barry tells him, "I built a treadmill that can travel through time. I can handle a fancy lightning wand." Wally pulls on Barry's shoulder, but Barry shakes him off, shouting, "I need this!" And after the two of them stare at each other, Wally says, "You want time? You got it." And he runs out of the lab. Back out in the city, Avery asks Kid Flash, are they really gonna listen to Barry? And Kid Flash tells her, "Yeah, no. In fact, I'm already working on a plan. Mina can track speedsters through the Speed Force. That's how we met in the first place. So if she wanted, she would have located us a long time ago, which means Grodd totally has her brainwashed. We're gonna snap her out of it." While Wally starts taking everyone out of the city, Barry continues his work on the wand. And after breaking a component, he gets frustrated and throws it. But for Wally, he finally gets to the person he wanted to avoid, his Aunt Iris. She was always there for him, but since he escaped the Speed Force, he's never there for her like she was for him. But before he could even think further, Rajan calls out, "Flash!" And as he sees that it's just Wally, he says, "Oh, it's you, the Pretender. I was told Iris West might be the target to allow us to catch the real Flash. However, Lord Grodd demanded that we collect the sidekicks as well." Wally shouts, "You want the Flash? Then you got me." As Wally takes on Rajan, Barry heads out to the only other place that he knows that he might be able to get help. Iron Heights Penitentiary. He holds the broken wand and he heads over to Kirsten's lab, where she's found frozen holding a tablet. Barry says that he's sorry for doing this and he taps the override button on the tablet and he leaves. He walks over to the containment cell stating that Black Hole is back and they've attacked Central City. "I believed you when you said you wanted redemption, and right now, Central City needs you. So please, Godspeed." August steps out of his cell in his Godspeed costume, telling him, "Of course, that's what friends are for, Barry." And there you have it, one heck of a cliffhanger, huh? We got Godspeed, we got Barry Allen with no powers, and we've got you subscribing to watch part 2 to this next week right here at Comicstorian. If you think you liked the story. If you didn't like the story, don't feel you have to subscribe, but we would really appreciate it. Don't forget to check on screen right now because these are our Patreons. Everyone tells me I point in the wrong direction. I think it's over here. Nope, it's over here. These individuals are joining us on our Patreon, where we bring you, I think we have planned almost 6 different podcasts that you can get uniquely there, which include our Comicstorian weekly podcast, where Dan and I review all the comic books that come out every week. If it's something you might be interested in, check it out. It is only the $1 tier on there, and you can go ahead and have fun and chat with us. Anyway, hope to see you guys over there. Hope to see you guys here next time on Comicstorian, and I'm rambling.